Alright, what's up, guys? So, IGN has uploaded I think this is supposed to be kind of like one of those, like overview type videos where it's, talking on the campaign for the video game Delta Force. Now, yeah, I pretty much didn't care for playing this game because I'm like, look, I feel like I done played enough multiplayer and extractions and battle royale. I'm like, fam, I'm looking for something different. I'm looking for something unique. Now I know, yeah, with single player modes in video games, people look down upon that for some reason, and I'm like, okay, weren't y'all for I guess for the older generation, if they are talking like that, didn't you guys play PlayStation 2 games? I'm saying like a lot of PlayStation 2 games back then and Xbox games like that, even prior before that, a lot of them were single player based. So yeah, that's why I'm like, you had to like go over to a friend's house, I guess, if you wanted to play some multiplayer stuff. But it just seems like that's just the narrative. I don't know if it's easier to make or what, but yeah, man, I'm like, dang, I'm trying to see like other types of games coming out. So yeah, hopefully this campaign mode is supposed to be good. I know I do have the original because they are showing it and stuff. Like I have the original. I don't know if it's gonna be like a remaster or something different, but regardless, yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this campaign first impressions video. Make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to IGN. But anyways,
Team Jade's Delta Force Hawk Ops revival was always planned to be an ambitious attempt at the modern military shooter in three distinct flavors: large tactical team versus team multiplayer, escape from Tarkov-inspired extraction shooter, and a focused, high-energy single-player campaign. The warfare and operations modes launched last year to mostly positive reception, but the single-player campaign, a remake of the original Black Hawk Down game, inspired by the 1999 book that inspired the 2001 movie, was still in the oven cooking up a lot of intrigue. I finally got some hands-on time with a small selection of its missions ahead of its launch, and while I can confidently say that it does genuinely capture the spirit of an old-school, turn-of-the-century shooter campaign, there are still enough unanswered questions that being guardedly optimistic is the only answer I could come up with after my time with it.
To all units, increase speed. We're behind schedule.
It's going to be pretty tough for people who didn't play the original game 20 years ago to compare it to Team Jade's modern interpretation directly, since it's not currently available digitally and physical copies of the old PC, PS2, and Xbox versions are becoming more and more scarce every year. But I was one of those people who was waiting in the waves of the military shooter revolution at the time. The first Call of Duty launched the same year as Black Hawk Down, and Battlefield 1942 dropped the year prior. But I distinctly remember Black Hawk Down having some standout gameplay features that really raised the bar for the genre as a whole. It featured big, sprawling level maps that offer multiple ways to approach objectives. Some mission sequences would change dramatically depending on the current task, taking you from the back of a Humvee to an on-foot standoff with ambushers to a hurried escape via helicopter, all in the same chapter. And bullet physics and gun handling, specifically the more realistic projectile speeds, bullet drops, lethality, and recoil, made skirmishing.
my question is, because I know that like just the game is called Delta Force, and then this like new campaign is gonna be Black Hawk Down. I wonder if they're going to introduce like other just war events into the game where it's like I guess like for future updates. And hopefully it ain't like no DLC crap. I'm like, look, if the game's free, cool. If I gotta pay money, then it's like, I think it should be like if it's cosmetic, skin, stuff like that, yeah, okay, cool. Charge for that. Battle passes, charge for that. As far as gameplay, bro, it's just at times where I'm like, look, games be scarce when they ain't got no content. Then to have it where a game's free, but you gotta pay for all this other extra stuff like that usually fails with the game. So I am curious to see what the future holds for Delta Force. But yeah, hopefully, the campaign is a decent sized campaign. But I'm still gonna play it regardless. Like I think they did say it is gonna come out in a couple of days, so I'm like, all right, cool, But hopefully it's just it's a decent sized campaign. But if not that, like there's going to be other like war events that's gonna get added into this game. So it's like, oh, okay, there's a reason to keep playing this mode. But anyways,
skirmishes less arcadey and more dangerous. Mixed with the absolutely arid checkpointing, Novologic's Black Hawk Down was one of the toughest games in the genre.
Jumpers, proceed to the landing zone. Roger that. Roger.
Team Jade's Black Hawk Down certainly comes from a place of reverence for the old game. Obvious in its way that it tries to capture the old school style shooting, Team Jade's Black Hawk Down certainly comes from a place of reverence for the old game. Obvious in the way that it tries to capture this old school style of shooting in its missions, but also the effusive praise the game director Shadow and designer Novak laid on the other old work. When we played the original in cafes so many years ago, it was mind-blowing, said Joe Meng, PR manager of Team Jade, translating on Shadow's behalf. Playing the initial mission, where we infiltrated the city in search of the enemy stronghold via a rooftop from a building nearby, the tense exchanges of fire between my squad of 4, all played by other humans in co-op, and the enemies proved that keeping bullets dangerous was a top priority in their translation. It didn't take much to drop us to dangerously low health, and that health did not restore itself after being out of combat for a bit. Only specific health restoratives could get us back to ship shape, and only medics, one of the 4 classes available to choose from, could provide them.
All units, we are on the ground. Establish your perimeter quickly. We've only got 30 minutes.
Is it going to be like a difficulty settings that I can add? I ain't trying to have it where it's like I get stuck on the first mission because it's like, oh, it takes me like, you know, a whole clip to take out a person, but they can one-shot me, and I'm like, I ain't trying to deal with that. So hopefully there's like, you know, some difficulty settings, you know, added and things, but I mean, if not, then I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be playing a whole lot of this.
As we got out to the street, progress became slightly less linear. This isn't an open world map, and there was a clear target we had to infiltrate, but the path there felt open-ended. My squad, split into pairs, tiptoed down both sides of the street, following some NPC teammates and clearing buildings that we passed on our way to the objective. In this case, a hotel under the control of rebels who were holding hostages somewhere in the building. We entered the building through the front, where the heaviest fire was being exchanged from the lobby plaza to our entrenched spot in the entrance. We could have found a side door and attempted to flank the lobby shooters as well, as I found out later. And though you don't have Hitman levels of freedom, it is refreshing to know that if this Black Hawk Down has difficult choke points, the answer may lie in just finding a safer road. Shadow mentioned that the feeling of relief and reward of overcoming stacked odds was a driving sensation in the design, and this was a great example of it.
How much longer?
5 minutes, sir!
What?
5 minutes!
This mission was a little more linear than the next one we tried, which saw us sprinting through a claustrophobic shanty town, attempting to get to the crashed Black Hawk helicopters. The mission's pace and setting was very reminiscent of the original's Valiant Heroes mission, which featured a maze of buildings players had to navigate while freeing stranded friendly soldiers from incoming militia. Both used the labyrinth as an advantage for the enemies, who could pop up around corners without warning. But where the original made you differentiate between hostile militia members and disgruntled civilians, penalizing you for harming the latter, this updated version treated everyone in the branching alleyways or dusty markets that wasn't you as an enemy.
Visibility of the target area is poor. You're on your own to find the landing site. Received.
Team Jades does add snipers who can shoot players from long distances from the relative safety of clock towers several blocks away, uses modern environment design trends to make the city dense with small open shacks and streets to navigate, and checkpoints that bottleneck the sprawling neighborhoods into points of entrenched resistance where more direct assault is required to continue. This is where the difficulty was its most intense, as enemies appeared from all directions, constantly moving while obscured by buildings and searching diligently for angles to take us by surprise.
On the floor!
I did miss the detail of having to show some semblance of triggered discipline under these conditions though. It was certainly engaging and fun, but even in the face of obvious danger, it felt like a step backwards from the kind of provocative design of the original. And in our limited test, we only tried out 2 of the 7 total missions in the campaign, but neither gave the sense of dynamic scenario switching like the original's River Raid, which starts as an on-foot trek across the desert, turns into a frantic car chase through a minefield, then transforms into a Metal Gear Solid 3-esque tiptoe through a Somalian river full of crocodiles, and then finally finishes with a multi-stage raid on a village. Of course this, or something equally as energetic, could be in the full 3 to 4 hour campaign, and I won't discount this remake's dedication to the original's boldness of mission design before deploying myself when it launches on February 21st. For more on Delta Force, don't miss our review of the multiplayer version that is out now. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a difficult game. Hopefully it's not that much of a difficult game, but Yeah, and I know people are gonna be all like, "Oh, why I got added difficulty settings?" Yeah, because it's like I'm trying to get through a game. I ain't trying to have it where I keep repeating missions or parts of a mission. I like that's one thing that I just don't get when people they get upset when you recommend stuff like that and they think that's gonna mess up their experience with the game. And I'm like, fam, you can play that game on the hardest difficulty for all I care. All I'm asking for is that they also add an easy mode to the game so I can get through the campaign. If I want to play on the harder difficulties, that should be my option. But anyways, I mean, it looks good though. Like I can always enjoy a military based game and stuff. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'll definitely be playing it when it comes out. But anyways, yeah, make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to IGN for more videos like this. Like, subscribe to me too, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.